Full guide on the Embalmer, Aesop Carl. Please watch this video if you want to know how to play this character, how to improve your play as him, and, importantly, how to play right with Embalmers as your teammates. Hello everyone! After a very long time I decided to make a tutorial on this character. I've been in Identity V since 2021, and I played as an Embalmer when he was much weaker than he is now. I'm also a former almost as solo Embalmer, and I've been a C, B, and A badged many times considering that I always played with a ping of 120 to 300. I learned not so long ago that the gameplay depends a lot on, so yeah. Even may I be not the greatest, I know what I'm talking about. Back to the topic, here will be basic introduction analysis of buffs and debuffs build strategies and so go on. Embalmer is called both useless and a guaranteed draw by different people, but it's important to understand that every character is useful in the right hands. And in the same time, just because you picked a character without knowledge about it doesn't mean you're guaranteed not to lose. The Embalmer is a support character, rock hider, and has a difficulty level of 1.5. Aesop can summon a coffin, which he can use to move into it after being knocked down or getting in a chair, or to embalm his teammate, granting them the corresponding ability. To be able to use the coffin, he must summon it, what will automatically embalm himself. And to do this with a teammate, he must first get to see them during the game. He will not be able to revive himself in the coffin if he has already been in the chair twice or if he has already used the coffin on himself once. And he will also not be able to embalm and revive others if he has not seen them or with the same conditions as for him. Embalmer can use 3 coffins throughout the match. 1 coffin is given to him at the start of the game. A second coffin is given if he was on the chair. And a third coffin is given if he was on the chair twice. To summarize the brief overview, under certain conditions, the Embalmer can save himself from a knockdown or a chair by moving into the coffin, and can do the same to another survivor. Things I want to say to those who don't want to play as Embalmer but want to know how to play with them in a team. If you and Embalmer are the last survivors in the game, and the Embalmer has fallen or the Hunter has the ability to strike without a cooldown like Galatea, Haster, so go on. Do not leave the game until the Embalmer has finished using the coffin. Always save before the second phase. It doesn't matter how early the Embalmer falls, how poorly you save him, or how long that he will kite after that. The key is to save him before the phase. Exceptions: if it's a big map and all the survivors are far away, if a Hunter is coming towards you, if it's a Hunter who can quickly knock you out. If the Embalmer, who has not yet used the coffin, is put in a chair and says not to save him, do not save him. Run away from the Hunter as soon as possible. Try not to decode with Embalmer unless necessary. If at the beginning of the game you see that Embalmer is nearby and is coming towards you, do not run away from him. Let him come closer to remember you. Tell the Embalmer if you need his coffin, but don't be angry if he doesn't use it on you. Try not to bring the Hunter to the Embalmer. He is a very weak hider. If you have the opportunity to help the Embalmer run away from his coffin, help him. I will explain all of this later. Important things to know and remember: buffs, debuffs, and additional abilities. After being revived in a coffin, the Embalmer has an effect invincibility that gives him an unbreakable shield that will burst after 7 seconds, granting a 40% speed boost for 1 second and a tide turner for 15 seconds. The same applies to his teammates. Once the last cipher is popped, these effects will not appear after reviving. When the Embalmer is able to use the grub, he have 3 seconds to decide whether to do so or not. If he do not choose, he will automatically be sent to the coffin after the time limit. The same applies to choosing of his teammates. In order to use a coffin on your teammate, Aesop must have seen them once during the game, at least from a distance of 219 meters. After he has embalmed another survivor, he will not be able to use any other available if he has got any coffins until the coffin is used or the embalmed survivor dies or escapes. Similarly, if the Embalmer leaves the game or dies, the coffin will disappear and cannot be used. Additionally, the embalmer cannot embalm a survivor who is on the balloons or in a chair. It takes about 5 seconds to embalm the teammate. Embalming can be interrupted by the player themselves or by some external intervention, aka a hunter's hit, and it will automatically stop if the survivor who is being embalmed is lifted onto the balloons. There are 20 seconds between repeated coffin summons. The decoding speed along with the other player is reduced by 15%. The time spent on the rocket chair or in the cocoon of the Soul Weaver increases by 10%. If the embalmer is the last survivor in the match, he can only use the coffin after he falls, and if he gets to the chair, he automatically dies. Also, if the last survivor leads the game before the embalmer finishes moving from the chair to the coffin, he will automatically die too. The embalmer can see the location of all teammates for 15 seconds at the beginning of the match. Embalmer can't switch or pick up any of items during the game, so after using all of 3 coffins that he could have, he's almost useless. My recommended persona build for the embalmer: full kite plus borrowed time. Aesop is a raw and pretty weak kiter, so he definitely needs some buffs. I bring borrowed time everywhere, plus it's really useful if embalmer is on his own tide turner right at the moment or need to teleport in the coffin quickly. More detailed, savior complex to escape or rescue from basement better. Catharsis effect, boost for kiting. Herd behavior, small help to others. Survivor's instinct, decoding speed boost. Defense mechanism, boost for kiting. Exit path, I always bring that. Very good for embalmer. After getting down, you can get up by yourself. And after getting down for second time, you can help yourself again with using a coffin, this time telepathy, to see who is being pursued by hunter to embalm them. Companion effect, speed boost to my distance after getting rescued. My rate of others builds. 2. Flywheel plus borrowed time. 3. Full kite plus flywheel. 4. Tide turner plus borrowed time. 5. Full kite plus tide turner. 6. Tide turner plus flywheel. Changes of his abilities in other game modes and recommendations for using in the pack hunter mode. The embalmed teammate decides whether to go into the coffin or not by themselves. Rec. Use the coffin to leave the first chair immediately instead of waiting for almost a minute. Using the coffin on others is very situational. In Blackjack, the embalmer has 1 coffin, and he will move into it immediately after being knocked out. There are no protective effects after reviving. Rec. Never place coffins near ciphers, and run as far away as possible after summoning a coffin. It's not recommended to use him in this mode. In tarot, the king is automatically embalmed when the coffin is summoned. There is only 1 coffin per game. Rec. Place the coffin as far away from the king as possible. It is highly discouraged to take the embalmer into this mode. Crystal ball. Not only the king can be embalmed, and there is also the possibility of obtaining another coffin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tips for getting used to playing as an embalmer. Learn to kite without using items or abilities, aka rock kiting. Learn to communicate with your teammates. Learn not to take risks. Learn to analyze the situation and not rush into summoning a coffin or choosing a teammate for embalming. Learn the time of cooldowns. Strategies. This is a very complex topic because everything is very situational. Everything depends on your and others' pings, the characters, the communication in between, the hunter and so go on, and the embalmer himself is very situational. I'll tell you how I usually play and some so-called secrets. I want to mention that I don't use a coffin to extend the life of my kite. I mean using it after you got knocked down.
How to place coffins.
Choose remote locations, corners, buildings, second floors, and so on, places that take longer and are harder to reach. Or classically, dungeons and exit gates. But be careful with the teleport, as well as the warp.
When to embalm.
During the game, don't use a coffin on survivors who haven't been chaired, haven't got a limit for getting up from a knockdown yet, who have resources for defense and kiting, and if rescuers are close by. It's generally not recommended to do this at the beginning of the match. Do the opposite. 1. The best situation for you. You're kiting all game. At the end, the hunter leaves you and you can decode, rescue someone with the coffin if needed, like go to the gate, place the coffin, embalm one that kiting. If the hunter doesn't leave you, make sure your coffin in a big distance from hunter, better be a dungeon or open gate, and take the hunter as far as you can from that place to be knocked down and escape. 2. A situation when the hunter found you first. Of course, when kiting you need to give it your all, but everyone has bad days. If you've been shared, then wait or ask for help. There are 2 situations, and you are saved after the phase. In this case, sacrifice everything you can, but escape from the hunter, throw pallets, use windows, hide. If this is successful, run further and either ask for healing or decode. Use your coffin to save someone later. Be you were saved before the phase, God bless them. Of course, run away. Here you either run away and do the same as in the previous situation, or if you are caught, get treatment, and if they immediately put you on a chair, use the coffin. After escaping from the coffin, if the hunter is far away, run and hide carefully, but if he's close, run. It will be good if you survive. If not, you stalled for time as best you could. Now it's time to work for others. 3. A situation where someone was kiting. Just decode. Leave rescues on rescuers, but of course it depends on the situation. Remember that you are the dark horse of the long game and you are needed to help from a distance. 4. All of ciphers are finished. The other survivor is kiting. If you've got a coffin and the hunter can't teleport or teleport is on cooldown, then place the coffin on the exit or dungeon and embalm them. If it's dungeon, be careful and make your way to the gate to get out as soon as they've finished reviving. If the person pings you to get out, you probably should just go. If you can't embalm that person, it's better to just leave, or if detention ended, body block them when they're close to the gate. Don't be risky, because Embalmer cannot help otherwise, and in the worst case, you will fall instead of them, or with them. Why would you not just use your coffin as soon you got at the chair when there's still a lot of ciphers? Because you need to make hunters away from them, and it's gonna be really good if you're gonna have more than one coffin. The worst situation for me is when I get down early and nobody coming to save you, or rescuing you after the half and do that bad. In that case, if hunter doesn't leave you, you didn't and can't use your abilities anymore, and you're just dying. And then, of course, people will call you and Embalmer useless. There's a lot alike situation. Just remember the points. Always place the coffin at the start. If you're in the corner or good kite place, do that there. If you're in open area, you need to make few steps away to better place or wait till the hunter finds someone to switch to better place after finishing the cipher. If that someone is you need yomske your way to better place. Summon the coffin there and leave this place quickly. Make long distances from hunter or coffin. Try to believe your teammates to rescue you before the half. Use pings. So now we're gonna talk about some sector tactics. I've seen some people do that nowadays. In my day, nobody was doing that. Remember that those ways are super risky and can ruin everything. 1. Rescue from the coffin. Let's imagine a situation. No one can go to rescue except the embalmer. For example, there are 3 survivors left. The last cipher is being decoded by the injured Pharaoh lady far away. There is another survivor on the last chair. Or they are too far away from rescuer to get to them in time before the second phase, and the embalmer is injured. If embalmer goes to the Pharaoh or basic rescue, relying on borrowed time, he wouldn't be able to rescue the teammate. So that's what he can do. Go to the chair, summon a coffin before getting knocked, revive himself and rescue the teammate using the shield and his own tide turner to protect himself and teammate. Even if it wouldn't protect the teammate from getting knocked, hunter probably will go after the embalmer, and in better case it would take enough time to prime and pop the last cipher. If hunter won't follow embalmer, it's okay too, because it would give more time to decode. Please do that carefully and remember that to do all of that you need around 14 seconds. the time during which the shared survivor can die.
Why don't just leave that survivor to die?
1. The hunter can switch targets and go after the embalmer or the pharaoh. 2. It make hunter waste their time and give more time for the decoding. 3. It can actually turn the loss to the tie or tie into the win. To rescue from the basement. It goes all by the same way, but it's more situationally. Let's imagine this situation. There are 2 or 3 of you left in your team, but one survivor is wounded and far away. The second survivor was put in the basement, and full-healed Embalmer is decoding the last cipher. Then he can summon the coffin next to primed or almost finished cipher and go to the basement. After getting a hit and rescuing, he needs to body block the survivor and immediately go to the coffin. After reviving, he can pop the cipher and go to the gate, where can be the first survivor if they are still in game. Better versions of this situation. One Embalmer has a tide turner. It would help the rescued teammate make a bigger distance. 2. If shared survivor is a mercenary or character who still has got recourses to leave the basement faster or for kiting, they can make a bigger distance and prolong their life. 3. If first survivor is still alive and can take the cipher that Embalmer was decoding, then the Embalmer can body block the rescued survivor twice and use the coffin after getting knocked second time. 4. If the Embalmer have second coffin and the rescued teammate had only one share, after reviving in the coffin, the Embalmer can summon second coffin and embalm the survivor that are being pursued by the hunter. Also, it's good to leave that coffin on the dungeon.
Why don't just leave that survivor to die?
1. The hunter can teleport to the last cipher. If they haven't switched ability yet, then they can take the abnormal and ruin the decoding progress. 2. If there's another survivor who can take your cipher, it would give you more time to decode. 3. It can actually turn the loss to the tie or tie into the win. I've told you everything I could. There's still a lot of tricks and strategies that you can do. I hope this will help you in future and remember to have fun. Thank you for watching.